My wife laughed at me in front of my entire family, then framed me for $2.3 million. I spent my whole life being the quiet, dependable one, the man everyone leaned on. Until the day they all turned on me. What started as a cruel birthday joke turned into a full-scale financial conspiracy. My wife, my brother, even my daughter. They forged my signature, emptied my accounts, stole my future. But they forgot one thing. I watch. I remember. And I don't go down quietly. This is the true story of how I exposed them all and brought down something much bigger than I ever imagined. I never thought I'd cry in front of my whole family. But there I was, standing in my own living room. Birthday balloons still dangling above me. My granddaughter's tiny onesie soaked in vomit. And everyone laughing like I was some kind of clown. Let me back up. Yesterday was my 65th birthday. I'd spent weeks planning the party, balloons, food, games, even rented one of those stupid inflatable castles because my granddaughter Lily loves them. I was so excited, not just for the party, but because, for once, I thought I'd done something right. Something they'd all be proud of. My wife, my daughter, my son-in-law. Instead, I got humiliated. It started when I picked Lily up. She's barely one and already has more personality than most adults I know. She reached for me right away, giggling. I held her close, rocking her gently. And then projectile vomit. Right on my shirt. Warm. Chunky. Smelled like peaches and milk. Everyone gasped. I laughed. I mean, what else can you do? She got me good, I joked, still bouncing her gently. Then I heard my wife behind me. Loud. Cruel. That baby knows what garbage feels like. Everyone laughed. I froze. Wait. What? I looked over at her. She wasn't smiling. She was sneering. Like I deserved it. Before I could even react, my daughter, my own daughter, snorted and said, "She learns fast." I didn't say anything. Just stood there. Still holding Lily. My hand shaking. Then my son-in-law pulls out his phone. Click. That's our family clown. More laughter. Not just them. My brother was laughing too. And my cousin. Even my neighbor, who I only invited because he helped with the grill. I stood there, covered in baby vomit, surrounded by the people I loved. And not one of them, not one, thought to ask if I was okay. They just saw a joke. Something pathetic. Something disposable. But I didn't snap. I didn't yell. I didn't even cry. Not yet. I smiled. I rocked Lily until she fell asleep. And then I went upstairs, changed my shirt, and left the party without saying a word. No big dramatic exit. No scene. Just silence. That night, I turned off my phone. No texts. No calls. But this morning, that's when things changed. I turned it on and saw 13 missed calls from my wife. 13. Not one voicemail. Just that number staring back at me like some kind of warning. I knew then something happened. Something bad. And whatever it was, I had everything to do with it. I didn't call her back. Not after 13 missed calls. Not after she stood there and laughed when they humiliated me in my own house. But I knew something was wrong. My wife never calls that much. She's the type to hold a grudge over a misplaced coffee mug. So 13 missed calls? That meant panic. Still, I waited. I made coffee. Read some news. Let the silence sit. And then, around 11 a.m., I finally picked up. Her voice was rushed, tight. Not angry, scared. Did you take the safe? What? What safe? I asked. I already knew which one. The little steel one in our bedroom closet. Where she kept her jewelry, documents, some cash for emergencies. Not a fortune, but enough. It's gone, she said. And so are the envelopes. Everything. Gone. I stayed quiet. She kept talking. Rambling. Did you take it to make a point? Make a point. Like I'm some child acting out because they made fun of me at a party. No, I said flatly. But thanks for the assumption. She paused. Then, quieter. We thought maybe you were upset. I let that sit for a second. I'm not upset, I said. And I wasn't. I was done. There's a difference. She kept going. Maybe Lily grabbed something she's always crawling around now. I bit back a laugh. A baby dragged a 30-pound steel safe out of a locked closet? Sure. And then it hit me. They weren't just calling because something was missing. They were calling because they thought I took it. To get back at them. Like I'm some kind of thief. Like I deserved to be mocked, then blamed, then interrogated. That's when I hung up. No yelling. No cursing. Just click. Let them stew in it. 5 minutes later, a text popped up. From my daughter. Mom's freaking out. Just give it back. No, hi. No, how are you? Just give it back. Back? There was never a back in the first place. I stared at the message, then scrolled up. Our last exchange was 3 weeks ago. She needed me to pick up Lily from daycare because she was swamped at work. Before that, a request to pay for the plumber. Before that, groceries, diapers, gas money. Not once had she asked me how I was doing. Not once had she thanked me for anything. I was a background character in her life. A resource. An ATM with bad posture. And now, suddenly, I was a suspect. I didn't reply. I wasn't ready for that part yet. Because the truth is that's safe? Yeah, I knew it was gone. But not because I took it. Because someone else did. And I had a feeling who it was. That night I got a call from someone I hadn't heard from in months. My nephew, Alex. He sounded nervous. Like someone had a secret pressing against their chest, begging to get out. Uncle Mark, he said, can I ask you something? Go ahead. Were you at the house this morning? I wasn't. Obviously. He sighed. Because someone was. He told me he'd stopped by to grab some leftover food from the party. My wife had said it was fine. But when he got there, the back door was wide open. And the guest bedroom, the one no one really uses, had a broken window. It looked like someone climbed in. I sat up. He kept talking. He hadn't told anyone yet. Didn't want to start drama. But something felt wrong. The weird part? Nothing else was touched. TVs, laptops, even the credit cards by the fridge, all untouched. Just the safe. Just that one thing. Which means it wasn't a robbery. It was personal. I spent the next few hours thinking, replaying everything. Who knew where that safe was? Who knew where the key was hidden? Only 3 people. Me, my wife, and our daughter. But the daughter? She wouldn't break into her own house, right? Right? That's when I remembered something. 2 months ago, my daughter had come over to borrow something. She said it was cold and asked to go into our room for a sweater. I didn't think much of it. But now I remember her coming out a little too fast. And I remember the sweater she grabbed. It wasn't even hers. I remember asking her if she found what she needed. She said, I got everything. Everything. Not what she got. Just everything. I stood in my kitchen, hands trembling, piecing it together. What if it wasn't her? What if it was her husband? He always seemed shady. Nice enough on the surface, but with that salesman smile that never reached his eyes. Always between jobs. Always working on something big. Always borrowing. Always behind. And now? Maybe desperate. Desperate enough to stage a break-in. Desperate enough to make me the fall guy. Desperate enough to risk everything. But there's something he didn't know. Something none of them knew. That safe? It had a GPS tracker. Something I put in years ago after a friend of mine got robbed. Tiny thing. Glued inside. No one ever noticed. And it was still pinging. Still alive. Still moving. I opened the app. It showed a blinking dot. One neighborhood over. Just sitting there. In someone's garage. I took a screenshot. My heart pounding. And then I smiled. Let them keep calling. Let them keep blaming. Let them keep laughing. I'm not mad. I'm watching. You ever feel your hands go cold, but your face burns? That's what it felt like, watching that blinking GPS dot sit there. Like it was mocking me. Still. Silent. In someone else's garage. Not stolen. Hidden. And whoever had it, they weren't even trying to run. I sat in my car across the street for almost an hour. Engine off. Eyes locked on that house. It was an average place, beige siding, cracked driveway, kids' bikes scattered out front. Not suspicious at all. But I knew that garage was holding something that could blow this entire family open. Not because of what was inside the safe, but because of who put it there. I took out my phone, zoomed in on the address, then blinked. Because the name on the property record? Ethan Parker. My son-in-law's best friend. The same Ethan who was the best man at their wedding. The same Ethan who loaned them money for their honeymoon. The same Ethan I hadn't seen in nearly a year. And now the safe was in his garage? No. No way this was random. This was planned. Staged. But the real question wasn't how the safe got there. It was, why? I didn't confront them. Not yet. Instead, I drove home. Waited. Let the clock tick. And right on cue, my daughter showed up. Didn't knock. Just walked in. Stormed through the door like she owned the place. I know you're mad, she said, tossing her purse down. But seriously? Ignoring us? Acting like you're the victim. I stayed silent. She kept going. Mom's freaking out. Lily doesn't understand what's happening. You think this is funny? Funny? That's when I stood up and said one word. Ethan. She froze. Her face drained of color. I watched the gears turning behind her eyes, that split second where she tried to decide whether to lie or not. And she did. Ethan? What about him? I smiled. Tell me why my safe is in his garage. Silence. Heavy. Loud. Ugly. Then, her voice cracked. You tracked it? I nodded. She sat down slowly, like her knees had given out. And then she started crying. Ugly, full-body sobs. I didn't know, she said. I didn't know he'd actually do it. We were just talking about the money. He said he had a plan. I didn't think. You didn't think he'd break into your childhood home? I snapped. You didn't think he'd try to frame your father? She looked up at me, red-eyed. No. We're behind. Okay? On everything. Ethan said it was just temporary. He said no one would get hurt. No one would get hurt. Like I'm a bystander in some heist movie. Only this wasn't a movie. This was my life. My house. My reputation. And now, I was supposed to what? Feel bad for them? No. No more. She told me everything. Well, most of it. Turns out, they were in debt. Deep. Not just behind on bills, but in collections. Ethan had been floating them cash for months. But not for free. No. He wanted something back. Collateral, he called it. And the safe? That was the favor he asked for. He said you didn't even use it, she whispered. He said you'd never notice it was gone. And you believe that? You believe that the man who raised you wouldn't notice when a piece of his life disappeared? You don't understand, she said. We're drowning. And Mom, she made it worse. I blinked. What do you mean? She hesitated, then whispered. She took out a loan. My stomach dropped. A loan? She didn't tell you, she said. Did she? Of course she didn't. Because she never does. Not when she wrecked our car in '08 and blamed a neighbor. Not when she accidentally used our retirement account to cover her sister's mortgage. And now, here we were. She thought she could pay it back before you found out, my daughter added quietly. But the interest, it's bad, Dad. Really bad. I sat down. The room spinning. Because suddenly this wasn't just about a missing safe. It was about years of secrets. About how the people closest to me saw me not as a person, but as a safety net. And now that net was tearing. Fast. I gave her one chance. One. You go to Ethan, I said, and you tell him to bring it back. Tonight. No police. No drama. Just bring it back. She nodded through tears. I will. I swear. And she left. Just like that. No hug. No apology. Just a promise I didn't believe. I sat there for hours. Waiting. Watching the app. The blinking GPS stayed still. 1 a.m. 2 a.m. 3 a.m. No movement. No call. Nothing. Until finally. Ping. The dot moved. But not toward me. Not toward our house. It moved in the opposite direction. Out of town. Out of range. And then. Offline. The signal was gone. Erased. Just like the last bit of trust one had in them. The moment that dot went offline, I knew. They never planned to bring the safe back. They were stalling. Burning time. And now, Ethan was gone. Not just offline, gone. I tried calling my daughter. Straight to voicemail. Tried texting. No reply. Then I made the call I didn't want to make. To the police. I thought they'd brush me off. Old man paranoid about a missing box. But I told them everything. Calmly. Clearly. About the GPS tracker. About the break-in. About the man whose garage it had been in. And when I gave them the address, the officer went quiet for a moment. Then he said, Sir, we've had units at that property earlier today. I froze. Why? He paused. There was a fire. I don't know how long I stared at the wall after that. A fire. At Ethan's place. No one inside. No bodies. No injuries. Just a garage burned to the ground. They said it looked like an accident. Electrical. But I knew better. It was intentional. A cleanup job. And now, the safe? Gone. For real this time. My phone buzzed around 6 a.m. Blocked number. I picked up. Heavy breathing. Static. Then a voice. Low. Panicked. Tell your daughter. I'm sorry. Click. Ethan. I know his voice. And I know what that call meant. He was running. Not from the cops. From someone else. And that's when I realized. This wasn't just about money anymore. This was about leverage. About something inside that safe. Something worth disappearing for. I went to confront my wife. She was in the kitchen, pretending to make tea. Like everything was normal. She didn't even look surprised when I walked in. I asked her straight. What was in the safe? She stirred her tea. Sugar. Stir. Sugar. Stir. Then she said, things you don't understand. I stared. What does that mean? She looked up. And I swear, I didn't recognize her. Not the woman I married. Not the woman who used to leave notes in my lunchbox or cried at animal movies. This was someone else. Someone cold. Careful. Calculated. It's handled, she said. And went back to stirring. I left. Got in the car. Drove aimlessly. Everything in my chest was tight. Like I'd swallowed wire. And somewhere between highway exits and half-empty gas stations, it hit me. They never saw me as part of the plan. They just saw me as the obstacle. Something in the way. A weak link with too much memory and not enough ignorance. That's why I wasn't told about the loan. That's why I wasn't told about the break-in. That's why Ethan apologized, not to me, but to her. Because I wasn't even supposed to know. I was just supposed to disappear quietly. Like the safe. Like the truth. By the time I got back home, my wife was gone. No note. No message. Just silence. Like she'd never existed. But her phone? Still on the table. Unlocked. I didn't mean to look. I just needed answers. So I opened her messages. And that's when I saw it. A thread labeled D. No full name. Just a letter. Hundreds of messages. Dates. Numbers. Bank accounts. Screenshots of our finances. And a single text that made my stomach turn to ice. He's getting suspicious. If he talks, we both go down. That message haunted me. If he talks, we both go down. They were talking about me. I was the liability now. Not the victim. Not the husband. Just the risk. My hands were shaking as I scrolled up through the thread with D. Most of the messages were dry. Numbers. Bank account transfers. Short phrases like done or deposit cleared. But then came the voice notes. 3-second bursts. Low voice. Confident. Familiar. And on the third one, I dropped the phone because I knew that voice. Knew it down to the bone. It was David. My brother. David. The golden boy. The man with the smile that could charm cops out of tickets and banks into bigger loans. He'd always been the successful one. The one my parents bragged about at church. While I was the quiet one. The boring one. The dependable one. Turns out, dependable was exactly what they needed to use. David and my wife had been working together for years. Setting up investment accounts in my name. Refinancing the house twice without telling me. Using my credit, my name, my clean record. At first, the messages sounded like regular finance talk. Should we move the fund into the Cayman option? The paperwork's ready, just need his signature. But then, this. He's getting older. Maybe we speed it up before he notices. Speed what up? What were they planning? And then I found it. A file attachment. PDF. Scan document. My signature. At the bottom of a loan contract for $180,000. Except, I never signed it. Not once. And I never applied for that loan. They forged it. They used me as the fall guy. For a debt that didn't even belong to me. I backed away from the phone like it was poison. Sat down. Tried to breathe. Because this wasn't just betrayal. This was fraud. And not some petty scheme. This was jail time level. They weren't just stealing from me. They were building a bomb under my feet. Waiting for the day it would blow up and leave me holding the pieces. I was the patsy. The paper trail led to my name. And if the banks came knocking? If the law got involved? David and my wife would disappear. And I'd take the fall. I didn't sleep that night. I just stared at the phone. Watched the messages keep coming. He's been quiet. You sure he doesn't suspect? Keep him distracted. He's harmless. If it gets messy, I have a friend in the department. A friend in the department. So now they had a cop? No. No way. But the more I scrolled, the more it made sense. The fire. The way the investigation stalled. The way nothing about this felt normal. They weren't just stealing from me. They were playing a long game. A criminal game. And I was 5 moves behind. The next day, I did something I'd never done in 30 years of marriage. I called a lawyer. Told him everything. Every detail. Every transfer. Every signature I never gave. And when I finished, he was quiet for a long time. Then he said, Mr. Carter, you need to come in. Right now. We need to get ahead of this. I asked why. And he said the 6 words that flipped my world upside down. There's a warrant out for you. I didn't believe him at first. Thought maybe the lawyer was exaggerating, trying to scare me into action. But he wasn't. Because when I got to his office, the look on his face said everything. Serious. Pale. Controlled. He handed me a printout. A warrant. Issued yesterday. Fraud. Identity theft. Bank manipulation. All tied to one name. Mine. They built this perfectly, the lawyer said. They forged your signature, faked consent documents, and linked everything back to accounts only you had legal access to. I stared at the paper. My own name had never looked more foreign. How long do I have? 2 days. Maybe less. Right now, it's flagged for arrest, but not activated. That means someone's stalling it. Buying you time. But when it drops... I'm done, I finished. He nodded. You'll be booked like a criminal. Unless we blow this open first. He started making calls. Big ones. To the bank. To an old investigator friend. And quietly, to a federal agent. Not local police. Because, like I'd guessed, someone in the department was helping them. Probably covering traces. Delaying things just long enough to get David and my wife out clean. I left the office that evening feeling like I was carrying bricks in my lungs. Everything I'd built. Everything I'd worked for. All at risk because 2 people I trusted more than anyone else decided I was convenient. I was the good man. The quiet one. The guy who wouldn't fight back. Wouldn't question anything. Wouldn't see it coming. And for a while, they were right. But something cracked in me that night. Something I didn't even know was there. The part of me that had always wanted peace? It died. I didn't want peace anymore. I wanted truth. And if that meant war? So be it. I drove straight to David's office. Didn't call. Didn't warn him. Just walked in. Receptionist tried to stop me. I didn't even slow down. And when I opened his door, he looked surprised. Like I was early for lunch or something. He stood up, fake smile already forming. Hey, brother. Everything okay? I shut the door behind me, locked it, then pulled the warrant from my pocket and dropped it on his desk. Let's talk. The smile cracked. Not all at once, just a twitch in the corner of his mouth. Then his eyes flicked to the paper. Then back to me. He tried to play dumb. What's this? Don't. I seriously. Don't. His jaw clenched. We stared at each other for what felt like a year. Then he sighed and sat back down. I was trying to help you, he said. I laughed. A short, cold sound. By stealing from me? You were just sitting on money. Letting it rot. It was my retirement. He looked away. It was complicated. No, I said. It was criminal. He stood up again. Got too close. You gonna go to the police? You think they'll believe you? I didn't answer. Because we both knew the truth. The paper trail pointed to me. The evidence pointed to me. And the longer I waited, the worse it got. But I had something David didn't know. Something I didn't mention. Not yet. Backups. Digital ones. Emails. Documents. Phone records. The GPS tracker history. And more importantly, recordings. Because ever since I found the messages on my wife's phone, I'd started recording everything. So I let David talk. Let him spiral. Let him say just enough. And when he said, even if they find out, you'll go down first. Not me. I stopped him. Pulled out my phone. Hit play. His voice echoed from the speaker. Even if they find out. He went still. Completely still. You recorded me, he whispered. You're damn right I did. He lunged for the phone, but I was already out the door. I didn't sleep that night. Didn't eat. Just stared at the screen. The audio file. His voice. That sentence on loop. Even if they find out, you'll go down first. I sent the recording to my lawyer. He didn't respond with words. Just a thumbs up emoji and a fire emoji. That's when I knew. We had enough. By noon the next day, the plan was set. The lawyer forwarded everything to the federal investigator. All files. All forged documents. All transaction logs. And the audio. But he also did something else. He sent a copy to a journalist. Not tabloids. Not drama channels. An actual investigative journalist from the Regional Business Bureau. Why? Because public pressure makes cockroaches scatter. And David? He thrived in the dark. Until now. At 4:12 p.m., the article dropped. Big red headline. Local financial advisor implicated in family fraud scheme, audio leaked. Within minutes, my phone exploded. Texts, calls, emails. From coworkers, old friends, even the local credit union where I opened my first account. And among them, one message. From my daughter. What did you do? She showed up 20 minutes later. Didn't knock. Didn't wait. Just stormed through the front door with fire in her eyes. I just lost my job because of this, she snapped. They think I helped him. I looked at her. Calm. Tired. Resigned. Did you? Her mouth opened. Closed. That half-second pause told me everything I needed to know. You knew, I said quietly. Maybe not all of it. Maybe not the scale. But you knew something was wrong. You felt it. And you let it happen anyway. Tears welled up in her eyes. I didn't want to believe it. You chose not to. She sat down slowly. Like the weight of it all had finally landed. Is this why Mom left? I nodded. She knew it was coming. We sat in silence. Two people who used to be family. Now just witnesses to the same wreck. Finally, she whispered. Is it really over? I looked her in the eye. No. It's starting. Because that article? It triggered a chain reaction. By nightfall, David's face was on the evening news. His company's website was temporarily offline. His LinkedIn? Deleted. And 3 former clients came forward, all claiming he'd borrowed their funds. This wasn't just my story anymore. He'd been doing it for years. My family was just one of many, but we were the loudest. Because I had proof. I had receipts. And now? So did the world. Then came the knock. Hard. Sharp. Repetitive. I opened the door to see 2 men in dark coats. Badges. Federal. They asked me to confirm my name. Then said the words I'd been waiting for. Mr. Carter, you're not under arrest. But we do need your full cooperation. I nodded. Then one of them added. We believe your wife may be in contact with him, and she's attempting to flee the country. When the agents told me she was trying to flee, I didn't ask why. I already knew. She wasn't just scared of prison. She was scared of what else might come out. Because once David's operation started crumbling, it wasn't just fraud anymore. It was bigger, deeper. And her name? It was everywhere. I gave the feds everything. Messages, audio, bank statements. Even the screenshots from her phone she thought I hadn't seen. They thanked me. Said I'd likely avoid charges now. But then one of them, the older one, leaned in and said, Mr. Carter, we need to warn you. If she's caught overseas, this gets messy. Especially with what we just found in that offshore account. Offshore? My stomach dropped. I didn't even ask where. Because I already had a guess. Cayman Islands. David's favorite tax haven. The one he always joked about retiring to when this world gets too honest. That night, I couldn't sleep again. I lay there staring at the ceiling, feeling like I was floating in someone else's life. Everything I thought I knew, marriage, family, loyalty, turned out to be a business. And I'd been the product. But then something pulled me out of it. A ping. A new login alert from my old iPad, the one she used to borrow just for Pinterest. Location, Miami International Airport. So I did something reckless. Something the old me would never do. I got in the car. And I drove. When I got to the airport, it was chaos. People running, calling flights, dragging kids in carry-outs. But I spotted her instantly. Not because of her face, she had a scarf over it. But because of the way she moved. Tense. Rigid. Like she was holding her breath through security. I walked up behind her. Quiet. Calm. Then I said, Planning a vacation? She froze. Didn't turn. Didn't speak. Just stood there. Then finally, You shouldn't be here. I stepped beside her. Face to face. I gave them everything, I said. The feds. The journalists. The banks. She looked down. Still silent. I kept going. I know about the offshore accounts. The forged documents. David. That got her. Her eyes flicked up. Wider now. Panicked. You don't understand it. I do now. I cut her off. She grabbed my arm suddenly. Tight. Whispered. Fast. It wasn't just about the money. David, he was involved with something bigger. He said if I didn't help, he'd bury us both. I stared at her. You chose this. Her hand loosened. I was trying to protect our daughter, she said, voice breaking. I stepped back. From me? Or from the truth? Security was starting to watch us now. I leaned in one last time and said the words I'd waited weeks to say. You betrayed me. You gambled everything we built. And now you're going to answer for it. I walked away. Didn't look back. Didn't stop when I heard the agents call her name. Didn't flinch when she screamed mine. Just kept walking. Free. She was arrested at the gate. Charged with conspiracy, fraud, and obstruction. The news broke within hours. Wife of financial advisor implicated in $2.3 million scheme, caught fleeing country. I turned off my phone. closed the blinds, and breathed. But just as I started to relax, another notification popped up. Unknown number. You think David was the top? He was just a middleman. And now they're coming for you. I stared at the message on my screen. You think David was the top? He was just a middleman. And now they're coming for you. No name. No number. Just that. The room went quiet. Not literally. The hum of the fridge, the ticking clock, the city noise, all still there. But inside me? Silence. Because I finally understood something. This didn't start with David. He wasn't the architect. He was the tool. And someone had been using him for a long time. I called my lawyer. Told him about the message. He didn't even sound surprised. I was afraid of that, he said. Afraid of what? Then he dropped the name. One I hadn't heard in years. Mason Black. Mason was a name people whispered about in finance circles. A consultant. No website. No business cards. But somehow involved in every major bailout, scandal, and buyout of the last 20 years. No proof. No paper trail. Just rumors. And the people who said too much? They stopped talking. Some got relocated. Others went bankrupt. A few just disappeared. David used to mention him, back when we were young, before the suits and the fraud. He once told me, if I ever get big, I want to work with Mason Black. Not for the money, for the power. And now? He had. And it destroyed everything. My lawyer sent me a folder. Encrypted. Two-factor access. Inside, emails between David and someone labeled only MB. Most were short. Cold. Approved. Push through the signature. Don't involve the brother yet. When the time comes, bury him clean. I stopped breathing at that last one. Bury him clean. That was me. The brother. The doormat David thought would never ask questions. And MB? He was watching from the beginning. The next morning, I found a letter at my doorstep. No stamp. No sender. Inside, a photo. A grainy still frame of me. Sitting at my kitchen table. From outside my window. And a note. Be quiet. Or you'll lose more than just money. I took it straight to the feds. They took it seriously. Very seriously. The agent looked at me like I was radioactive. This goes way beyond your family now, he said. They moved me into protective custody that afternoon. New phone. No internet. No contact with anyone. And there, inside a gray hotel room with no windows. They showed me the full web. Charts. Timelines. Offshore leaks. Connected names. Politicians. Bank executives. Lawyers. Even judges. And right in the center? Mason Black. But here's the part that chilled me. One of the agents turned to me and said, "You're the first one to survive this deep. The first to bring us something real. And if you help us finish it." He paused. "You'll never go home again. You'll be protected. But your old life? It's over." I nodded. Because honestly, that life ended the moment my wife laughed at me in front of my granddaughter. The day they all decided I was worthless. That man was gone. What's left now? Someone with nothing to lose. And people like that are dangerous. They gave me a new name, new documents, a backstory, and a one-way ticket. From that day forward, Mark Carter no longer existed. The case took 9 months. 9 months of interrogations, hearings, prosecutors asking the same questions 10 different ways, and me, sitting in gray rooms with no windows, trying to remember how to breathe. I gave them everything. Digital trails, encrypted messages, wire transfers, voice recordings, names, especially his voice. The ones where Mason Black ordered people like me to be cleaned up. The ones where he bragged about having judges, CEOs, and senators on speed dial. The ones where he said, "People like your brother? You bury them early before they realize they matter." He said that. And then I made sure the world heard it. They arrested Mason 14 hours after I handed over the last file. At an airport. Trying to flee with a forged Japanese passport. Still wearing that smug suit. Still pretending nothing was happening. But in court? For the first time ever. He looked small. And when he saw me sitting in the back, alive, unbroken, he blinked. Once. Then looked away. He never looked back. The dominoes fell fast. 2 senators resigned. 3 high-ranking officials got indicted. 5 banks went into damage control. And my family? My wife was sentenced to 8 years. My daughter, probation and a lifetime financial supervision order. David? He tried to run too. They found him in a $49 a night motel off the highway. Alone. Staring at a blank TV screen. He didn't resist. When they cuffed him, he looked up and whispered, "You ruined everything." He was right. I did. But not for revenge. For freedom. Because I didn't want to destroy them. I just didn't want to be their prisoner anymore. Today, I live in a house that doesn't exist on maps. My name is different. My voice is lower. My phone is burner only. Each morning I drink black coffee and watch fog roll over the hills. And for the first time in years, I sleep. Real sleep. Not haunted. Not hunted. Just peace. Sometimes I think of Lily, my granddaughter. Too young to understand who betrayed who. Sometimes my daughter, older now, quieter, writes me letters. Says she's sorry. Says Lily asks about me. But I never respond. Because for me to survive, I had to disappear. A few weeks ago, an email hit my old encrypted inbox. No subject. No sender. Just one line. The system remembers. Sleep with one eye open. I closed the laptop. Walked outside. Took a gas can. And burned the damn thing. Because I'm not afraid anymore. Because I walked through fire and came out invisible. Because now, I'm the shadow they can't bury. This wasn't revenge. This was rebirth. If you'd lived my story, would you go back? Would you forgive them? Or would you vanish like I did? Let me know in the comments.